Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing good. I hope everyone is having a fantastic week. Today I thought I would document, I've just got back from Cyprus obviously, so I was like I'm going to document how I typically navigated Cyprus whilst obviously, as you know, I'm currently 2 weeks out from, well, less than 2 weeks now from my first photo shoot. I think I'm 5 weeks out from my second one. So I thought it'd be a really good time to do a video on how I typically navigated that holiday. Now, just to put it out there as well, I don't advise people to diet whilst they're on holiday, right? But the way in which it landed this time round for me, I wanted to do a shoot with Jeeeeeeze, but obviously with my travel plans at the minute, obviously I've got quite a lot going on. The only time I could do a shoot with Jeeeeeeze that I had available was in between these two trips. So I've literally had Cyprus, I'm back in the UK for 2 weeks, then I go on a hen party to Mykonos and then I fly back to Dubai. So only in this 2 week window, shall we say, is the time in which I could book this shoot in, and this is the only date that I had available, like during the week, which is obviously when I could do. So that's the reason why I had to kind of diet whilst I was in Cyprus. I wouldn't have intentionally chosen to do that. Like, I love a holiday more than the next person. Not that obviously we're able to relax massively, but I love being able to relax my food a lot more when I'm on holiday. But yeah, I just thought it'd be interesting for you guys to see how I typically navigate it, because a lot of people think, like, you know, going on holiday, it needs to be this massive free-for-all, and that takes me on to like the first point really of, I went into the trip with a plan of action. Like, I went into it intentionally with the mindset of what I was going to do. I didn't go in with that mindset of thinking, oh, I'm just gonna wing it. Like, I knew exactly what I was gonna do every single day. I knew what day the wedding was. The wedding was on the Tuesday, we landed on the Thursday. So I knew on the wedding day, like, I was gonna have one day where my calories are a little bit higher, and that's okay. Like, I definitely went into, like, I wouldn't even say a surplus day because I did about 20,000 steps, but I would at least say I was at maintenance calories on that wedding day. I knew that day I was going to be a bit more relaxed, and that's absolutely fine. But the other days I chose to intentionally try and stick to as close to my deficit as I possibly could do. So that's the key thing really, is I went in with the plan of action. I wasn't going in being like, oh, it's a free-for-all, I'm just going to do what I want, then come away and be a bit pissed off that I've not got the progress I wanted to. Just to kind of reinforce as well for anyone that doesn't follow me on Instagram, so they've not kind of seen, but I went away. It's been a long time as well, and this kind of leads me on to another point, but I went away and I was like really inflamed. Bear in mind, I've been off the back of loads of travel, like flying from Dubai to the UK, back to Dubai, and it's been so much going on. Like, the last time I was in Dubai, I was there for 5 days whilst we had client shoots. My body's been a little bit all over the place. My coach said to me, Beth, I want you to have a deload whilst you're in Cyprus. That's what I did do, and I was due a deload. Like, I am one of them people who I actually need to deload quite frequently because my body is quite an inflamed mess, shall we say. I do carry a lot of inflammation for a petite person, so I do need deloads obviously a little bit more regular than, say, the next person may do. But it's been a lot longer than we'd normally deload. So Josh was like, right, Beth, I want you to go and deload whilst you're there. And then guess what? Within the first 2 days, I had a little bit more food. Obviously, I wasn't tracking my calories, so I'm guessing it was a little bit higher calorie. Probably a bit of a refeed for the first 2 days, and then obviously I had no cardio. I was still doing my steps, which I'll touch on in a minute, but then I dropped 1.3 kilos. So it just goes to show, do you know what I mean? It's what you do consistently, not what you do occasionally. I'd eaten a little bit more food, I'd not trained, and obviously my body's been like, yeah, you sat in the sun and chilled a little bit, which I never do. So naturally that's what that's what happened. So yeah, I deloaded from training. A lot of people as well, I think, I just wanted to touch on that, like, probably do struggle with deloads because they're like in the brain. I know I used to struggle with this quite a lot as well. The mindset of thinking like, oh, but it makes me, I'm lazy because I'm not training. Like, you've got to remember, guys, the way I flip this is, if you don't warrant a deload, you can probably push your training harder. So always flip it. Like, it's like when clients say, oh, it's too much food, like, that tells me then you're not sticking to your calories when you're dieting. Because if my coach said to me, no, go and eat more food, I'd be like, fucking snap your hand off, so it's the same concept. You should earn the right to warrant a deload. So if I've got a client who's like brand new to train, they probably don't need to deload, right? But obviously if you're training hard, you will need to rest a lot more often. So like, you don't want to kind of have this negative relationship with taking time away from the gym. It's really important you do that. And a really good quote that someone once taught me, which I think is very important, is that you can only train as hard as you can recover, right? So if you're constantly operating at like 60%, going to the gym, training at 60% because training feels terrible because you're not recovered, that's just illogical, isn't it? Why not get a really good amount of rest that you can go back to the gym and you can be operating at optimal levels? That to me just makes a lot more sense, right? So that's what I want you to think about in terms of deloading from training. Now, from a food perspective, I can't speak, guys, I'm still struggling with my breathing, as you can tell. And from a food perspective, I chose to stick to 3 meals. I said 3 meals, it was technically 4, because my breakfast, I would always have 2 courses at breakfast, which I'll touch on. But I'd always have 3 meals, yeah? So I'd always have 3 meals and I'd not snack in between. And this is where a lot of people do go wrong when they go on holiday. I'm not saying you can't snack if that's what you want to do. And again, I'll just reinforce the same thing like I always say to clients. How you act on holiday is totally your prerogative, like totally your choice. If you are someone that wants to go hell for leather, you know, I'm on holiday type of vibe, so you're completely, you know, you're overindulgent and that's what you want to do, that's okay as long as you're okay with the outcome of that. When you come back, you're probably going to be a lot heavier than you typically would like, right? And if you're okay with that, sound, you know, we've got to be okay with that as well. But if you are someone that likes to come back in a similar position to when you went away on holiday, you have to just be more mindful, you know. And I always just explain this. It bugs me when I see coaches online who will say things to clients like, just do what you want, eat what you want. And I'm like, I think it would go a lot better, a lot further. And I did a post on this on my Instagram the other day. It's not about having strict rules and following a meal plan, but giving clients like parameters to kind of work around actually makes them so, like in the moment they might be thinking, oh God, I have to do that. Like, but when they come back, they're like, oh, I understand why Beth advised me to do that now because I've come back in the same position that I went away. So I'm not having to come back feeling like I need to start over every single time. And that's the advice I always follow myself, whether I'm dieting or whether I'm not. I will try and mirror similar meals when I'm away than what I have when I'm at home. So obviously at the minute when I'm at home, my first meal, it's, you know, 175 scrambled egg whites with plenty of veggies, right? Obviously when I was away, I was a little bit more relaxed because obviously I had 4 meals instead of 3 meals instead of 5 meals. But obviously, like I said, one of them was like sandwiched together and I'll explain. But yeah, my meal 1 was basically I'd have 2 egg whites, which I'll put a picture on the screen now because I tried to get pictures to show you all. I had 2 boiled egg whites with 2 turkey bacon or like a low fat bacon, it said. I had, what else did I have on there? A slice of this seeded bread, which was so good and I loved it because every single time I kept going back, I kept getting left the crust. Not intentionally, obviously, but people who leave the crust, I think it's the best bit. I absolutely love the crust. My mum and dad, when they used to buy like the Warburton's toasty loaf when we were younger as well, oh my God, that with butter, oh my God, that is like the elite toast. But yeah, I had this like nice slice of like seeded bread. And I had some like salad. I'm obsessed with like, you know, like buffet breakfast when you go on holiday. So I had like some salad leaves, some like onions, there was a little bit of feta in the salad as well, with some cucumber and all that type of good stuff and like mushrooms and tomatoes. So that was my meal 1. Obviously my second course at breakfast was always some like fat-free Greek yogurt. So it was some like fat-free Greek yogurt with some like strained like frozen berries. And I put like a little bit of like granola. It wasn't granola, but it was like a muesli type thing, just to give it a bit of texture, and that'd be my second course at breakfast. So that's what I would have. I'd start my day with a really good serving of food because I prefer to have a bigger meal at breakfast. Then my next meal was my lunch. I'd go protein veg, as you can see on the screen. I'll pop it on there as well. I do protein veg at lunch, and then obviously my evening meal I do protein veg again, and I might put a little carbohydrate on my last meal. So, you know, like one night I remember there being like a cheese pasta, I just put like a little tiny bit of pasta on there, or it might be, I don't know, a couple of like garlic potatoes or something. You know, some nights I'd put a bit on, some nights I wouldn't. So yeah, that's how I typically navigate it. And like a lot of people are, I think, just so OCD, like panic about things and a bit so OCD. It's like, you know what to do. If you want to feel good, you know what to do. And how I always flip this back is, nobody was holding a gun to my head. Like Josh was not saying to me, this is what you need to do, yeah? I'm not thick. You guys are not thick either. You know, if you want to go on holiday, what to do to potentially align with how you want to feel a bit more. If you're wanting to be more relaxed, just own it. That is literally the biggest thing I say to everyone. It is absolutely fine if you want to overeat a little bit more, but then do not mourn when you come back and you're heavy, and then you have to obviously potentially pull off a little bit of the body fat that you've then gained on holiday. That's just what you chose to do. As long as you're okay with that, that's absolutely fine. Now, to touch on that as well, I don't drink. So obviously I'm not a big drinker. I say I don't drink. I mean, every special occasion I might have a drink. So like maybe after my shoot prep, me and Nathan might go for like a nice meal and I might have like a nice glass of wine, or I might have like a Prosecco or something just to celebrate, or a nice cocktail. But I can easily stop at 2. Like once I've had 2, I'm a bit like, I've had enough. I'm not a drink. I mean, I'm talking probably like 2-3 times a year max I would have a drink, right? So when I go away, it doesn't bother me to pull calories out from alcohol. Like that is something that doesn't bother me at all. Like there's no emotion attached to that. When I know some people do love a drink, and there's nothing wrong with that if people do. For me, I can take it or leave it. It just doesn't bother me. On the wedding day as well, so we had the wedding on the Tuesday. I didn't drink on that day. Like I knew I was going to have more food. I just wasn't bothered about like drinking calories as well. That just doesn't faze me. Everyone kept saying to me they couldn't believe it because I was like front and centre in the dance floor. I was having a fantastic time. I was there all night, like still on my feet at 12 o'clock, like still going for it. And the amount of people that came up to me was like, I can't believe you've not had a drink. And I just think though, like, you don't need a drink to have a good time. Like some people, you know, that's their opinion. Do you know what I mean? I just feel like for me, I don't feel like I need a drink to have a good time. Like I can go and mingle with everyone. I can go and experience what they're experiencing. I just feel like I don't need to have a drink to be able to do that. But like I said, everyone's got their own opinions. But obviously the food on the wedding, I would be very much, I was a lot more relaxed. So obviously I remember on the morning I still had my normal breakfast. I think the ceremony was like 2:30. Then we had a couple of canapes, and then obviously our evening meal was then like a still buffet style, but obviously I was a bit more relaxed. So I had like a slice of pizza, I had a couple of other little bits. I can't remember now what it specifically was. Like some sausages were on there, which I love a good sausage. Like a nice one though, you know, like not a crappy style of sausage. Like I really like ones you get from like the farm shop. They're dead good, but obviously these ones are quite decent to be fair, like these separate sausages. And it was like potatoes and pasta salad type things. There was loads of like nice meats and loads of good stuff on the wedding buffet. And then obviously the dessert table was there as well, which obviously I was like, that's my thing. So I had a couple of little bits of dessert whilst I was there, like a little bit of cheesecake, a little bit of the wedding cake. But you know, like the kids have all had the fingers in it and stuff. I was like, that's enough to put me off. You could see the kids, because it was like there was kids at the wedding and stuff, they kept going back and like, you know, like licking it, and I thought, oh yeah, I'll just avoid that. It's not the end of the world. I said a little bit of dessert, and like I said, that was me done on that day. But yeah, the final things really after that though, like obviously I've spoke about food, I've spoke about obviously my deloading from training, and the next thing is then obviously talk about movement. Now, what I always say this to clients, regardless of how you want to, just got my monster as well by the way guys, regardless of how you want to kind of show up, I would still always say to clients that prioritise movement, not even just from an aesthetics, you know, energy balance perspective, but from a health perspective and a digestion standpoint. A lot of people typically when they are you know, when they go away on holiday, they can't, you know, sorry for being a bit gruesome, but can't poo for a couple of days because the digestion's all over the place from flying and probably changing the food habits, right? So I don't want that. Like if I'm getting a bikini, I want my digestion to be A1. I want to feel good. I don't want to feel groggy. So like, why would I not look after myself? To me, it just doesn't make sense. So one thing I will always do with my food when I'm flying is I will always stick to more like protein veg or protein fats when I'm flying. Because obviously then I'm not going to have any kind of like carbohydrates or sodium. I've reduced my salt intake to limit any kind of like additional fluid retention. So prior to flying, I think I had like in the airport, I had some Greek yogurt for my breakfast, and then I had I didn't have a protein, but I had some Greek yogurt. No, I didn't, that's such a lie. I had Greek yogurt and then I had a chicken salad on the plane. That's what I actually had. So I prepped my chicken salad. That's what I did the night before we flew. And I remember Nathan panicking in the morning because obviously it was late for our flight. So he literally had an hour and a half to get from our house to, we had an hour and a half to get from our house to Manchester Airport and get through security. His head fell off. So yeah, luckily I did prep my chicken salad the night before. So I had Greek yogurt and then my chicken salad. And then when I landed, then I had my carbohydrates later on in the day. Okay, so something to consider. If you're someone that's quite prone to bloating and feeling a little bit constipated after you've flown, that's what I would advise you to do. Make sure your fluid intake is very, very high. So always make sure you're carrying yourself like a big bottle of water. I would absolutely limit like carbohydrate intake, just obviously whilst you're flying and pre-flight, and limit sodium intake. And then obviously when you've landed, again, you can put them things back in. But again, you don't have to do that. That's just what I do. And that works very, very well for me. And I'm still on holiday, going daily, feeling good. And that makes me feel so much better. And then again with my movement, like I said, going back to the movement, I would always get up every single day. I would always get a morning walk in on the treadmill. So I would first of all do my cardio, 30 minutes of cardio. Well, it's 300 calories of cardio, but obviously the hotel gym wasn't the best. I mean, to be fair, the actual equipment was quite decent. It was hoist equipment. But then from the cardio standpoint, didn't have a Stairmaster. The elliptical was terrible, so I just had to use the treadmill. The bike was shocking as well. So I ended up using the treadmill on the highest incline, doing my cardio as like a power walk on the highest incline. And then from that, obviously, it took me like, it's like 30 minutes to do it, whereas my stairs is normally like 20, so I was like, for God's sake. And then I had to obviously do my steps on top of that as well. So then I did 5k steps boxed off in the morning, then we'd go for breakfast, then me and Nathan would just go for like another little walk, obviously just to help our food digest, and then obviously it was chilling then, or work most of the day. So, you know, then obviously we'd go for a walk after lunch, I'd go for a walk after our evening meal, And guys, I was doing 20,000 steps a day and I weren't even that intentional. I was just making sure that before lunch I'd always get in 10,000. And then it was pretty easy then for me. It was a massive resort to getting an extra 10,000 throughout the day. So my step target's 20k a day. So it wasn't as comprehensive, shall we say, or as difficult as a lot of people make out. But that's my biggest advice. If you want to go away and you want to feel good, try and just box a big chunk of movement off in the morning. Try and keep your movement up through the day. Like if you're going to be lying horizontal for a very long period of time, like it makes a lot of sense, right, to go and make sure that you're moving as much as you can do. So that's all I would say. And then the final thing is just managing my mindset. Like, as you can tell, I have a very, very good relationship with food. Yeah, very good. And that's not always been that way as well, guys, just to kind of reinforce that. Like, I remember years ago, like, I'd go on holiday and I'd try and overly restrict everything. And there's nothing wrong with restriction, but if my mindset around it, that was the problem. Or the opposite way completely, where I just completely gorge on food because I'm like, I'm on holiday. Your typical Lay's and Fanta Lemon on the balcony and then no shit's given, then come back and be like, fuck, a lot of shits are given. You know, like that type of mentality. For me now, it's like, it's my goal. If I want to prioritize that, it's my responsibility. And then if I don't want to prioritize that, again, fucking own the consequence of me getting in front of a camera in 2 weeks' time, if that's what I want to do. But again, you've just got to take responsibility for how you want to kind of manage things, and there's no right or wrong. You know, I have clients who deal with things in different ways. I have clients who deal with things in other ways, and you've got to do what's right for you as well. But I think having a really, really solid mindset when you're approaching a holiday is so important. At the end of the day, you work so hard. And I had a conversation with a client this morning, Alicia. You work so hard to go on these nice holidays, right? Go and enjoy it, right? But does enjoyment to you mean overeating, over drinking every single day until you can't breathe? That's what I would ask yourself the question. Because if you are someone that goes on holiday and probably does come back feeling a bit sluggish and not the best, maybe just tackle this holiday coming up, the next one, a little bit different and see if you feel better. But that's something, like I said, it's took me a long time to kind of, you know, work my head around a little bit and really understand. But I hope me just sharing how I've navigated my trip with you is probably just give you a little bit of food for thought. Like I said, I don't expect any of our clients to go on holiday and diet unless that's what they want to do. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, a holiday's there to be enjoyed, but I would always just question, does more food equal more enjoyment? Because I would always argue, to a certain point it might do. Like, you having that extra slice of cheesecake in the evening, that might be the thing that you really, really want, right? And that might give you peak satisfaction, right, on that day, and that's cool. But then would going having 6 slices of cake in your evening meal make you feel better, or is that then the point where you start feeling worse? So the key is really catching yourself out of that one, isn't it? And being like, I've really enjoyed it, I probably don't need to go and have any more. Then you move on the next day. And that's a really good relationship with food. So hopefully I've kind of, like I said, got a few little things thinking about there in your brain, you know, for next time you do go on holiday. But I thought I'd just share with you some of my meals, what I did to navigate things, just so you can apply it to your future trips yourself. But yeah, thanks so much for listening, guys. We've got a very busy week this week. We're going watching Nathan's Client Compete tomorrow at the NABA Northwest show. I've still got my freaking all-inclusive wristband on. I'm such a scrubber, but I need to go and find some scissors. So go and watching that tomorrow, and then we've literally got one more week now until our group shoot for clients, which is so exciting. So we're actually using Jeeeeeeze this year, so I will actually vlog that. So I'll take my camera with me to go and vlog the behind the scenes at the Jeeeeeeze shoot the following Wednesday. So that's the Saturday. We're going out with the girls on the Saturday. Be nice to see obviously clients in like a normal habitat as opposed to just coaching. Then obviously on the Wednesday, then I've got my photo shoot with Jeeeeeeze, and then I think I've got a week, and then it's Mykonos, and then for like 3 or 4 days, and then I fly back to Dubai, and then I think I'm in Dubai then for like a good 8-week stint, I think. And then from there, I think we are back to the UK to then fly to Malta. So the hen party that I'm going to is Mykonos, which is basically my sister-in-law, Katie. So Nathan's brother, my partner Nathan, his brother Ronan and Katie getting married. So it's Katie's hen party in Mykonos, and then they're getting married in Malta. So it's very exciting. Like I said, everyone's getting married this year. Everyone's getting married. Everyone's having hen parties. So I'm super, super excited. But yeah, like I said, hopefully you've enjoyed that, guys. If you are interested in working with us on a one-to-one basis, you'll find the application form in the show notes. Or if you've got any questions about how our coaching works, you're probably better off just dropping me a DM on Instagram. That's probably the quickest way to get hold of me. I have got the podcast channel linked in the bio as well to Spotify, so you've got all that on there too. So plenty of free support for you guys to go and access. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it, and I will catch you in the next episode.